Here we go.
Hey everybody!
Hey!
Good
Oh
evening.
my goodness.
Here we are. How about it?
Yeah, man. Thanks
I'm
for...
Chris Wall. Nice to meet everybody. Glad you all could join us tonight.
My name is Andrew Peterson. It's nice to meet everybody. I'm glad you all could join us tonight. Really.
Great. Thanks for taking time out of your Wednesday evening to come hang out with us. We are here at Northwind Manor in Nashville, Tennessee. So what is Northwind Manor?
So Northwind Manor is the house that the Rabbit Room renovated for gatherings and kind of as like the heart of the ministry. And one of the cool things about Northwind Manor is that the behind us is J.R.R. Tolkien's fireplace. That's that mantelpiece. The gray part was in his bedroom at his house in Oxford when he was writing Lord of the Rings. So we thought we would just like draw near to the aura of Tolkien's fireplace while we were talking to you guys about this stuff.
Yeah, and so the Rabbit Room, if you don't know, is an organization that Andrew and your brother Pete and Christy Bragg started many years ago.
Yep.
That is really so the story for that. Do you want to tell that?
Yeah, it was the name, the Rabbit Room. For those of you guys who don't know, is the name of the back room of the pub in Oxford, England, where Lewis and Tolkien and their buddies would sometimes hang out. And so it represented to me the beauty of friendship and Christian friendship and art and how those things all kind of feed together. And this friendship and these meetings gave birth to these like world-changing works of literature. I know they changed me. And so there was something kind of magical about being in that space and thinking, oh yeah, this happens in the world, you know? And so the Rabbit Room ministry kind of became an outflow of that idea that that stories and music and art have this like capacity to change the world. And so we want to encourage that and cultivate it and curate that stuff so that people can find those kinds of stories. And so this house is like an arm of that ministry. And so very glad to be that it happened.
Yeah, the bones of a 100-year-old farmhouse exist in here. Literally, there's one right there. It's a really cool space. So we thought it'd be a really cool space to be in tonight to tell you about all that we've been working on with the Wingfeather Saga.
So many things.
So many things. So I know we got people dropping in here, but just once again, my name is Chris Wall, old friend of Andrew's here, and executive producer on the Wingfeather Saga. We've been working together for nearly 6 years to bring Wingfeather Saga to the screen, and have had a long journey. So we'll tell you a little bit about that tonight. And again, Andrew Peterson, author. And
hi, my name's Andrew. So glad you could join us.
Yeah. So glad everybody's in here. We want to jump in. Here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with Wingfeather Saga. Kind of over the past year's kind of been the more intense part. We're going to finally answer the question, the number one question you get asked all the time.
All the time.
All the time. When is Wingfeather Saga
going to be an animated series?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to answer that. Okay. And then we're going to talk about who we've brought in that we're partnering with that is going to help us make that happen. Mm-hmm. And then if you have questions you want to ask us, we'll get a chance to respond to those. If you're following us on YouTube or Facebook on the Wingfeather Saga pages, respectively, that's where we've got some people working hard to help track comments and be able to send them over to us so we can respond to that later on as we go. Cool. And we hope to spend about an hour with you, and then we'll be wrapped. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we dive in?
Let's dive in, man.
So what have we been up to? A lot.
So yes, a lot in fits and starts, lots of things. Like I know that from the outside, because we haven't had any like big reveals, it has seemed like, hey, what's going on? Did you guys abandon the dream? And I'm here to say, no, we never abandoned the dream, and we have been working hard. Chris has been working really hard, chasing a lot of things.
Yeah, it's been good. Mm-hmm. So we talk about a bit of the points when the fans are really connected with us, and we have a little timeline that we shared last week that you guys got so excited about, which is awesome, and highlighting that yes, in 2013. There was a dream of making that fourth book amazing.
Yep.
Hardcover edition with artwork.
We wanted to kind of go out with a bang. And so the idea was to do a Kickstarter campaign so that we could have at least one deluxe hardback edition jammed with artwork And so we launched this Kickstarter campaign, which ended up being the most successful fiction Kickstarter campaign in Kickstarter's history at the time. And that was because you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And so we were able to make this book beautiful.
So one of the things, by the way, tonight is we sent out messages really just to, we're presuming most of you are familiar with the Wingfeather Saga, and it is a 4-book fantasy series that I know many of you have read and enjoyed. Our family, I guess I should cover that. So years ago, Andrew approached me with the first book after he'd written it and said, hey, Chris, I wrote this fantasy thing. And we have 6 children. And at the time, the older 3 were right in that target age of like 10 to 13. And I said, all right, Papa's going to read this. Let's have a seat. And I remember reading that first chapter and going, what in the world? It was the prologue to the prologue. And there was a guy named Nag the Nameless who has no name. And he lives somewhere across the dark sea of darkness. And then flipping a page, and it was suddenly a bit scarier because we're talking about a black carriage that comes. And we just loved it. And like, what else do you have in store? And so our family got to read along, and we got to be fans along with us. So in 2015, we sat together. I had finished a long run at VeggieTales, producing that series, and had an offer to go out to be with DreamWorks. We'd worked under DreamWorks Animation for a while, and walked the property here with you, and said, "What if we did this Wingfeather?"
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting because even back then, one of the first things that happens when I go to a school to do a reading or any kind of book event is the little kids' hands shoot up in the air, and the first thing they want to know is, when is the movie coming out? And I'm not one of those authors that's like, no, a story can only exist on the page. I love movies, and our family loved watching movies, and so I was always kind of like, I don't know, but I hope that happens one day. And then I remember when we talked, it was like, you know what would be cooler than a movie would be a series, because one of the things that's painful about movies is you have to cram this whole big story into 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. And I was like, what if there was a series that could stretch its legs? So we got to talking about that idea, and then
we said, well, let's invite some friends to help us to pull that together. So our good friend Keith Lengo came along and had some ideas about what it could look like visually. Some of you have seen this, and some of the artwork is around us, because our friend Nicholas Cole ended up joining that effort. And then Tom Owens, who I had worked with at DreamWorks and had been on the How to Train Your Dragon series and had done some great work there. And so then Andrew had the idea, hey, what if we go back out to the fans and say, help us to make a really cool pilot short film, first episode in the series kind of thing. And in 2016, we did that. And we were going to try to raise $100,000. And it was like, I don't know, it's pretty scary.
I lost some sleep.
And you guys were so into it. We got that in the first 48 hours. It was like, boom. And then it was like, what else could we do? And so we ended up raising $265,000 and made this really cool short film, and got to make a lot of cool T-shirts and other things, and published another book in the middle of that. So the Wingfeather Tales in 2016 came out because of that. Actually, I think it came out in 2017. But so it was so delightful, and that just created a bunch of energy. So we can talk about that, because this is where we really spent the last number of years. We told you all that when we made that short film, the pilot, that we could then use that, and we did. And Andrew and I and others just traveled all over the place with Apple TV, Netflix, Paramount. Got to go to the Henson lot and Amazon and others, and just telling them about what we were doing, what we wanted to make with Wingfeather Saga. And it was sometimes met with some confusion because we were talking about a family series. We wanted it to be for kids. We wanted it for families, and that was kind of a weird, like, yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And they all could sniff out the redemptive threads, right? That the story has spiritual meaning, and it's not, that also turned into some funny things, because we found ourselves a little bit between the markets.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
I remember a conversation I had with an executive on kind of the Christian media side, who said, all right, so which character is God in the world and which character is Jesus? And I was like, well, it's not that kind of story. And they're like, okay, well, the Christian audience is not going to be there for it. Oh, okay. And then on the other side, it's like, now tell me about it. Sounds like there's a maker in the world. Yeah,
or
yeah.
they would Google Andrew Peterson.
Yeah, and then Andrew
It'd be
Peterson
like,
shows up.
oh, it's one of those
He's
kinds.
one of those guys.
Yeah.
So that got kind of weird because we were like, well, that's part of the content, but it's just in there, and we love that as part of the story. And we kind of pointed to Narnia and Lord of the Rings for those kind of things, and it just got met with a lot of like, we're not sure about this. The other thing that started to happen, and this was kind of just timing, I suppose, is that people were like, yeah, maybe Wingfeather Saga, if we're going to buy it from you and just go make something. And well, that was something we didn't feel like was responsible. Like we felt like, no, we're supposed to be a part of making this to make sure it's faithful to the story that Andrew had been given and was in the books and that the fans love. And that got complicated. And so then it was like, okay, who's the partner? How do we do this? And
so before, I was gonna say, like, so that was the conundrum we were sitting in. Was we've got these ideas, we've had all these meetings, none of them felt quite right to us or to them. To be fair, we were just kind of like, what do we do with this thing? And so while we were thinking about this stuff, the Penguin Random House, Waterbrook Penguin Random House, came and said they had kind of seen how the books were doing and they got excited about it and asked him, what do you think about partnering with us to re-release the books? All new hardcover editions, all new artwork, that whole thing. Which, can I just say really quick that that's like a dream for an author. Like, to have the thing finish, I did book 4 and it was like, okay, finish with book 4. Well, that was a fun run. And, in your wildest dreams, the story keeps going and people keep caring about it. But, like, to have the publisher circle back around and say, hey, we want to give these books another push and help more people discover them was thrilling. And so Joe Sutphen did all these new drawings, and Nicholas Cole, who had worked on the short film, did the covers because he designed these wonderful characters. And so then we ended up, we have a stack of books here.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, here they are.
There they are. That represents
a lot of you have seen these.
About 10 or 12 years of work. And so, anyway, so there we are with these. The book 1 released in March of 2020. I'm going to say that again. Book 1 released in March of 2020.
Anybody remember what we were doing in March of 2020?
Yeah, it was crazy because I was on tour at the time, and I remember, you put all this time and effort into a marketing campaign, but then the book got swallowed by COVID and quarantine news and all of the craziness of the world. And I found myself like kicked off the tour because I couldn't tour anymore. And there we were sitting at home like the rest of you guys in lockdown. And I was like, well, this book just came out. What else do I have to do? Why don't we just read it every 30 minutes a night starting at 7 o'clock? And that, you guys, became one of the greatest blessings in my whole life. Like, I cannot tell you how much it meant to me and Jamie.
Hey, guys.
Jamie's sitting right over there. How much it meant to me and Jamie and the kids to be able to sit there and go on that journey after all these years with you, and to see how much it helped. It was one of those things where after the first book, when I wanted to read aloud on the edge, we had to check with the publisher and be like, are we allowed to do this? Are there legal ramifications? Is it cool? Do we have the rights to whatever? And they were like, yeah, we're pretty sure you're allowed to do that, but just book 1. And so we read book 1 with many of you guys, and it was such a blast. And then after book 1 happened, the publisher came to me and said, hey, will you read book 2 now? Because people were discovering the Wingfeather Saga through this thing. And so that began 2020, the craziness of that year, but one of the bright lights for me in it was to get to share the story with all of you once again. And so that...
Yeah, and I just have to say, I mentioned earlier we have 6 children. So our youngest is Charlotte, who's 9. And she had never read Wingfeather Saga. She was actually the voice of Lily in the short, the pilot that you guys have seen, but had never read it because she was too young, frankly, and didn't really. And so I read it with the older kids, and then read it with my middle 2 boys, and then it was time for her to go. And she said, "I want to read with Andrew. I want to read with Mr. Peterson." And so she followed along last year and was one of those every night on Facebook.
Wow.
She'd have her mama's phone and had to prop it up and she'd tune in and got to be a part of that journey.
So cool.
And it was really, really sweet. So that was a very exciting time in 2020.
Yes.
And then something else happened. We got introduced by our friend Nate. He was like, hey, you guys know about, there's these guys who are working on this really interesting way of making new content available to audiences, and they may be a really good fit. Oh, one of the things we wanted to show.
Yeah,
before we
that's
say
right.
it, sorry, I wanted to show because this is great. I think we have some fan art during that whole read along. A lot of you fans started popping in here. Yeah, here's some of it, and just sharing how much you love the world. And I think that if you hear one thing of tonight, the story of this has been how much all of you, once you've read these books, share them with your friends. We now have kids like mine who were younger and now adults in college or just off into adulthood, who read them and are like so excited that it's actually like still happening. Sometimes book series kind of come and go, and this book series is not.
Sorry, I'm like looking at these pictures and I'm getting emotional.
So cool.
It means so much to me, you guys. Thank you so much for.
So all the way through the weeks and weeks and weeks of Andrew, and this, I love this, the cosplay.
Yes, it was
So
amazing.
he and his sons made those. They're brilliant. They're walk around like full costume characters. It is so cool. Yeah, and so you guys have just continued to show up and share this story with your friends and kind of help us. And you know, it's rare that you get to have a story that's out there on Amazon and Goodreads and other places that has so much endorsement, because people like us read it and went, oh my gosh, this is really beautiful and amazing. And so anyway, so in the middle of all that, we wanted to find a way to keep all of you engaged and being able to love the series and be a part of it and be involved. And like we said a minute ago, also make sure that we can maintain creative control. And that's not a weird thing. I know that can sometimes sound weird, like, well, we got to do it our way. No, like I've made a lot of stuff and worked with a lot of great creative people, and it's a collaborative process. And so is Andrew. That it's like, no, this is a process of finding a great story that's true and doesn't veer off into some other things. And
There were like the specific nuances in the story that I think you guys know what we're talking about when we say that. They were very, very important to us that we were true to. And just like signing on the dotted line and selling the show to some random company, as great as they may have been, like it just didn't feel right to just go, oh yeah, here are the keys, go make what you want. It was important to us.
And honestly, we could also just go raise some money and make something, but then how do we make sure we can get it to an audience like you? How do we make sure that it actually finds a way into homes that people could enjoy it? Because it can be really frustrating if you make something and nobody can find it or you just can't get it to them.
Yep.
And so there was an opportunity. And I think we should do the nerd thing.
Okay.
So we met these guys. This is so cheesy. But we met these guys, and we're excited to announce that our distribution partner in marketing and going to help us to bring the show to life and bring it to all of you is...
Drum roll.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Angel Studios.
I feel like we just voted for a college. It's like
Yes.
NFL draft week here. Angel Studios. Angel Studios. Anybody know that name? Maybe not, but maybe you've heard the name VidAngel. I know that was a big part for your family.
Yeah, we loved VidAngel in our family. As soon as it came out, we went for it.
So the wonderful people that created VidAngel went on to partner and help make some other things. They not only helped to kind of be filtering services for families that wanted to watch stuff without some of the content it could choose, like language or violence or sexuality, those kind of things, depending upon the age of their family. And those same folks went on to create some new material. And one of the things they made, actually, I think we stumbled across it a long time ago, but didn't really pay close enough attention, is a thing called dry bar comedy. Dry bar comedy. So this is clean comedy for families. It's so great. And they have a huge audience that tunes in and watches all those great comedians doing their specials because it's safe for the family, right? They also made a show that some of you may have seen. We got introduced to it last year, hadn't seen it, and as part of this conversation got introduced to it, called The Chosen. Anybody know about that one? It's called The Chosen.
It is so good, you guys.
It is, I'll be honest, I was flat on it because
Yes.
some friends said, oh yeah, they're doing a Jesus series about Jesus and the disciples, and has someone who worked for VeggieTales, and we've watched a lot of great content with Jesus and the disciples. We're like, I feel like I'm good. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
And so our friend Nate was like, you really got to watch this. You got to check it out. Like, okay, fine. So I sat my kids down Easter week last year. I was like, all right, everybody, we're watching this. You know, my then 8-year-old to 20-something. And they were like, oh, Dad. And By episode 2, they
Mhm.
were, hey, let's watch another one. I want to see another one, Dad. And by episode 3, they're all like, when do we watch another episode?
Yeah.
And the authenticity, everything about it, just wow, it was incredible
Yeah.
because it
I was the same way. I was kind of this a holdout, and it was one of those things where at some point in every episode, I found myself crying. Like I would get this huge lump in my throat, and I just think they nailed so many things right. Which kind of goes back to what we were saying about the nuances. The nuances are really important, and I felt like they really had this strong sensibility that I appreciated with that show. So yeah, so VidAngel
Yeah.
was doing really good work that we were excited about.
And what they were doing is they were delivering this original content. Dallas Jenkins is the filmmaker who partnered with them for that show. And like I said, Angel Studios, it was VidAngel, now Angel Studios. It just said, Dallas, we want to help you make your show, and we're going to distribute it and market it. And so they did this with an app. And so you could download an app on your phone and press play, and there's your show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could throw it to your Apple TV or Roku or Chromecast, whatever. And it was the technology was right, the distribution, and so we met with them, and they said, you get to maintain control of your content. We just want to help you market it and distribute it. And we're like, really?
Yeah, it was kind of shocking to hear that.
Yeah, and we're just gonna like cheer you on and help you find your audience. And Andrew and I were like, really? And so we were deeply suspect. And so to make sure this was actually something that was true, we went out and met with them. And so Jamie and we got to go out, and they had just finished season 2 on this amazing set that they had gotten access to, and we got to walk around in it, and
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
amazing stuff. So we got to meet Neil and Jeffrey here, who are the 2 co-founders, 2 brothers, and spent some time with them over a meal. I think that's really important, getting a meal together.
Yep.
And after that experience, just felt like, yeah, this would be an amazing partnership together.
And one side note is that we were checking each other out.
Yeah.
It was like we were going like, okay, is this somebody that we could partner with? Is this going to work? And they were kind of going, we've heard about this Wingfeather Saga thing. Like one of the guys had read it, but one of the guys hadn't, and so we ended up giving the books to them or sending the books to them and saying, and he was kind of like, our kids are going to be the ones who decide.
Yeah, right.
And I think they said that the kids gave them the thumbs up, and so they called us and said, let's do this.
They did,
Yeah.
and I have to tell you, because this is such a great moment, but it was the last chapter of the last night of The Warden and the Wolf King. Andrew was reading aloud in his cottage, and just before that afternoon, I got a note from Jeffrey saying, hey, we've talked about it and considered it, and we'd like to go forward with partnering with you as an Angel Studios original to bring Wingfeather Saga to life. We cried.
We did.
I'm not the crier so much, but wow, it was just this amazing moment. And it just felt like this beautiful finish to this year-long reading that you have been working in. And anyways, it's been an amazing journey. And we are so excited to partner with them. We feel like they have gotten a real handle on the kind of ways in which to help get content to people like you and to help market it. Telling that story is so important. And so we are so excited. So if you go to Angel Studios, you can go check them out. You will find a page for Wingfeather Saga, because that begins the next part of our journey. And part of partnering with these wonderful folks is that we also get to bring all of you into it and really give you an amazing experience as part of that. You're not just kind of sitting back to watch it, you actually get to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And so the way in which this is going to work, and there's a learn more thing, you can go hop in there, but the way this is going to work is we're going to open it up and allow you to crowdfund and make this happen, which means you get to be a part of it. Now, we're not quite sure when we're going to launch this, so there's a lot of discussion, a lot of things to figure out here, but we would love to get some interest from you. Do you want us to make a series like quickly? Do you want us to? And so you can go pop out there and kind of raise your hand and say, hey, I would love for this to happen. That'd be amazing. And tell us about that. And we've got a lot of exciting plans. Like we would love to dive into lots of seasons to really unpack this whole story. And it keeps coming up, but I'll just say this. It is going to be animated series, much like the pilot, the short film that you saw. A lot of the same artistic style, in that.
Turned up a notch or two.
Turned up a notch.
Yeah.
That was done on a very limited budget, and we got it pulled off. But this is really an opportunity not only to crowdfund in ways that maybe you've seen with like Kickstarter and other places, but we actually are looking at ways to make you be owners and to be a part of the journey with us, not just donate and walk away, but actually stay on with us. So that's what we're particularly excited about. And we have a lot of people who are also excited about it with us.
Yeah. So there's some of the advantages. We're partnering with VidAngel, Angel Studios rather. They have this huge reach. Like how many countries is The Chosen in?
Yeah, so this is a global effort.
Yeah.
So this is not something that's just stuck here in Nashville, where we might share it. I mean, we could watch it all in Nashville, but this is something that allows us to be around the world, which is really amazing because of the app system and the way that delivers. Now, with Chosen, of course, it's not just on that. You can now go into Walmart and buy it on DVD. You'll see it over on lots of other streaming platforms like Peacock and others. So Wingfeather Saga, as we develop out, we'll find lots of opportunities for where it could find an audience. But through that whole thing, you can know that we're controlling how that story gets told.
Yep.
And that's amazing that we're not having to kind of hand over and have a studio that maybe wants to take it in a different direction. So yeah, that's how that's going to work. The engagement from fans is going to be a blast. We have a lot of really fun ideas planned for ways in which you could engage with the show and kind of be a part of our journey over this next bit as we bring this to life. But I think that's all I want to say at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So this is really the first announcement, and we wanted to bring this out first to you all. Those that are following Andrew, Wingfeather, we really didn't market this. We wanted to sit down and have a chat with you guys, and we're just so excited about this partnership and wanted to get it out there. And then we're going to have a lot more of these to talk about, right? And ways in which we can tell you about what we're doing and this sort of thing. But don't go anywhere, because we do have something really special. We have a little tease thing that we're going to show you at the end that I think you're going to get really excited about. But let's pause for a second. I think we've gotten some questions. Okay, we've gotten comments like, I feel like I'm about to cry. Yeah, I know. It's been a long journey, folks, and I have to tell you, for our family as much as for Andrew's, there's been some pretty dark nights, right? Where it's like, I don't think we're going to get to make this. I think we've tried our hardest. I've knocked on so many doors. You come out of one of these meetings, and you're like, oh, I think that might be the right one for us, and then no, actually, it's not the right one for us. And
the needle just swings completely wildly from despair to excitement and back to despair. And honestly, we had reached a point, and we had been praying the whole time, like we were okay. We're like, if God doesn't want this thing to be made, we would say, please shut it down.
Yeah.
And it just feels pretty amazing at this point. Like it is a very moving experience, and just to kind of see that, like I remember telling somebody about this partnership, and they were like, "It sounds too good to be true." It kind of does. Like to have this like amazing team to work with, but also to have control. Like for us to be able to tell the story the way that we really believe that it needs to be told. It's just insane.
Well, and so many of the platforms too, we're starting to shut things down and doing like a season of a show, and that's it.
Right.
And that would have been heartbreaking, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
No, we have a whole thing.
Yeah.
And the idea here that we can tell this over a lot of seasons, right?
And really get into like the fun side stories and all of the characters, and like really flesh out the story so that you get this big epic arc over the course of a few seasons. Oh my goodness. I don't even know of anything quite like that. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key, is that for a lot of you families, we do enjoy watching things together, right? And sometimes watching content can get a little too grown up for our little ones, right? Like I know from our recent experience with something like the Marvel Universe, we're like, oh wow, that's too bumpy for my little ones, right? That's definitely PG-13. Or it's really young, especially at series, right? That it's really young and the whole family's not into it. Like it's just a little
like mom and dad are having to like pretend like they're enjoying the show.
Yeah. And we just like wanted to make something that all of us could gather around and be excited about the episodes what's going to happen next, and that kind of slow turn of like, oh my gosh, and not worried about the content kind of, being more
And
than it should be.
I think you guys demonstrated how that can work during the read-alongs in March. It was kind of like that. So many comments I got from people were like, oh man, every night everybody would kind of like gather around the thing together. Grandma and grandpa and the kids and the teenagers and the parents were all there together. And so, man, to have a series that could kind of ring all those bells would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for.
So that's what we're aiming for. Yeah. And we're excited to bring in just a lot of great artists. As I've already started talking to different, artists of just amazing craft in the animation industry that know about this story and what it could be. Frankly, given the option of I could go work on this project over here, which is empty calories, doesn't mean anything, or I could work on Wingfeather where it's like, oh my gosh, this would actually be amazing. That's been really exciting, and we can't wait to bring those in. So, there's questions about here about the music. Will the music remain? Music is a big part of this world. Huge part of the world. And even on the short, that was a big intentional move. We got to meet with Arcadian Wild, some of you know those, and see if they could help us to bring a soundtrack and music. And Kurt Heineke came and worked with them and on the score and music to make that really Nashville, frankly. Like it was so exciting. Yes.
So that's very important to us. So yes, the music will be something we'll spend a lot of time getting right.
Yeah, and I will say this. Somebody asked, will the pilot, the short film, will that be episode 1? Will it stay as episode 1? Not necessarily. It will get replaced. It may be similar, but it will get replaced with a new episode 1. Probably has some similar stuff in there. There was a question about merchandise. And one of the things that we had so much fun when we made the Kickstarter is making all the cool stuff, like really cool T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Jamie! It's just over here. Action figures.
Jamie is dying for there to be action figures in Target. She won't be happy until there's action figures in Target.
Oh no, bad news. You people are crazy. I'm so sorry, but you definitely crashed the Angel Studios website. Yeah!
Really? Is it like shut down?
It's totally crashed.
Yes!
That's amazing.
Good job, everybody.
Way to go. I love you guys.
That's awesome. That's what we were aiming for.
That is
they're working on it. I've got a message here. They're trying to get it going. Engineers are at it, according to Mr. Brad. So that is fantastic, though. But yeah, we think, and here's the thing. Years ago, a dear friend of ours, actually, Bob Starnes, and I worked together at VeggieTales. VeggieTales was very successful, as you know, in a lot of places. And he was in charge of licensing and merchandising. And I sat with him one day in his office, and he had all the cool stuff, everybody, like just the coolest toys. And I said, how do you make decisions on what kind of things you make? And he said, Chris, at the fundamental of anything that we make here, we want it to serve families. Like, we don't want to exploit families. We want to serve families. So we make decisions about the kind of products we make based on, would they love engaging in it in this way, right? Would it extend their experience, their excitement for, does it help to fund making more shows? And well, sure, yeah. But I know it's our heart that serves, right? We've had questions about interactive. Would we ever consider a Wingfeather Saga game? Board game, digital game, all those kind of things. If it can serve families, we're working on it. Like, that'd be super fun. But there's all kinds of ways that we would love to extend. One of the cool things about the app, and we'll get into a lot of this later, but one of the cool things about the app is that you get kind of immersed in, right? Where you're watching your show, and then right next to it is the ability to go watch a cool behind-the-scenes piece, or go look at the kind of merchandise we might have available and support the show that way. So versus having a show that's just another tile on one of the major streaming platforms that might get lost, it's like we're right dedicated to you, which is really cool. And you're not going to see show suggestions that might fall out of your viewership target.
We all know what that feels like.
Yeah. Okay, question about whether the series is going to include further adventures.
Ooh, that's a good question.
What we're asking is, Andrew, are we going to go tell what happens after the fourth book?
Well, let's just talk about that at the end. I thought that my reading of the question was, are there going to be side stories, like ancillary stories? And man, that it's possible.
Well,
that's one of the fun things about a series. Yeah.
Wingfeather Tales definitely demonstrated that, right?
Yeah.
You know, is that here were all these separate stories that kind of popped in there. So, yeah, I for one, as we go through, you know, in the episodes, we had our first writer's room, beginning to crack the stories for season 1 and figuring that out. And oh my gosh, it was so exciting, people. And in that, yeah, it came up because the benefit we have is right now we have all 4 books available to us, so we know the whole story. And as show creators, we have the option of going, okay, now that we know everything about the characters from the beginning to the end, let's pull this idea a little more forward and make sure it's present so that it pays off really great in season 2 or 3, right? And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that could include some additional stories. We've talked about this already, but you know, one of the things we're excited about is exploring the story on screen in a fresh way, right? Yeah. The story is written. We know what the story is, but we get to see it, and it will experience in a fresh way. For all of us that have read the books, it'll be a new thing.
Which in some ways, like when we made the short film, there were some things that the art team came up with in the short film that made the story better. Like I remember one of the guys was designing Glipwood, and he was like, "Why is Glipwood so far away from the sea? Wouldn't it be cool if there were like ravines that went through the town on the edge of the cliffs?" And I was like, "Good grief, why didn't I think of that?" And so I'm sure that there are going to be like slight tweaks, but like again, the heart of the story is the thing that we care about the most, and getting to be in charge of that is pretty awesome.
And one of the things we're also excited about is being able to do that here in Nashville, Tennessee. So we are so excited. We've got a lot more to talk about there. We can't get into it tonight, but we are excited to make this home base. Yeah, I think that's all we're going to say about that. But we are going to be working with a lot of great people. From thanks to 2020, we do have the opportunity to work with really brilliant artists who are wherever they need to be. They can be from Wisconsin to France and all places in between, and we can work with them. A lot of us in animation have demonstrated that agility last year in really profound ways. And so that gives us access to certain people, and then, of course, being able to just do that here in Tennessee. So, yes. Couple other questions. How long do they have to pledge and that kind of thing? For right now, we're just getting a sense. It's actually called testing the waters. That's the actual term. We're testing the waters to kind of see what would you guys be into? How far do you want us to go?
Trying to see, are you guys capable of crashing the VidAngel website,
and
VidAngel Studios website?
Good job. So
way to go.
You solved part 1, but really it's doing that. And so based on that feedback over the next little bit, we'll be able to say, okay, well then let's make our plans, and then we'll roll out kind of the full plan of what we're going to do. Okay, does that make sense? But I want you to know it's a crowdfunding opportunity, but it's with you as owners, right? Not just donate and walk away. It's saying, and if you've seen other campaigns like this out there, I think you understand what that means. Okay, let's see. Music remains, crashing the site, all kinds of neat things. Isabel Curran says, mischief managed. Rebecca says, all of the Iggy feathers took over. Yes. Andrew, are you going to try to voice any of the characters?
Oh, I sure hope so. Yes. I actually just rewatched the short today. I hadn't seen it in quite a while. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did the Oscar voice for the narrator, you know. You were Janner of all.
I was. The strangest thing, folks. I rough recorded myself, and then we got into it further and further, and we actually auditioned a really cool kid. And I like, and it was a problem because he sounded younger in a way that made Janner too young, and it made then Ting.
You had a good little boy voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Right.
Appreciate
it.
He's been auditioning for the past year by doing read-alongs, audiobooks. So he's really trying to prove out. Although someone called you out, I'm not going to say it was Brad Reeves, but called you out on changing the accent of one of your character voices during the read-along.
That does not surprise me,
Andrew.
That does not surprise me.
Stay on point.
I didn't have my kids in the room to keep me straight.
So, yes, we hope Andrew gets to voice a character. I do not intend to. I'll probably voice an extra. I love voicing extras, like little side characters.
Jamie, you want to do a character?
Sure.
It was the arm swing.
That's better.
That's good.
Diana, thank you. She says, "Do you really need to ask if we want you all to do this?" Well, no, I know. Yeah, I want us to do this.
It's a thing that we got to do. It's a thing
Yeah.
that you just got to do.
It's a step process, and
so-
I think this is due diligence to say, "Hey, folks, here's what we're thinking. What do you think?" And this is really tonight is the first test of that. Let's just kind of see what do you guys think about getting into this, and you'll tell us, and then we'll make our plans, and we'll come back to you. And we're going to do a lot of these kind of chats. Sometimes it'll be just me. Sometimes with Andrew. Sometimes I may just put you out here.
I'll do it, man.
But we're going to do that. Okay, don't go anywhere because we still have this really cool thing we want to show you. But let's make sure we haven't missed any other really important questions. Some people asked, oh, okay, let's just say it. So when we announced that we were going to have a conversation tonight, a lot of folks were like, great, it's the premiere of season 1. Sorry, I hope that wasn't disappointing. Oh, yeah, we've been working, but it's on all the really boring stuff, which is why we haven't talked about it much, because it's a lot of meetings and trying to figure out what the right opportunity is, and it's quite a thing. And so, but soon enough, we will be able to tell you about how season 1 is underway, when we'll have it ready, all that kind of thing. But it's going to take some time. Animation is not a fast process. You probably know this. So I would say from the start to the finish, it's usually a year to a year and a half. Okay, so just kind of frame expectations. So when you hear us say, we're going for it, just know, okay, well, that means it's going to be this long. Okay. In the meantime, read the books. And lots of people have read the books. Mm-hmm. Last year, we haven't really talked about this a whole lot, but the books have done very well. I don't know if you know this, but the books have been out for over 10 years. That's amazing. And last year, when they got renewed and put back out there again to a whole big audience, they sold more in 1 year. It was 4 times more year over year, 2020 to 2019. Unbelievable. Yeah, like crazy. They just and it's so great. Like they actually ran out of stock. Remember that whole thing where we couldn't get books for a while, and there was like a whole problem. So yeah. Thank you,
everybody.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you.
Because Jamie's like, thank you.
We had people buying sets too. Like our family did. I'm not touting this, but I know numbers did that bought sets of the books to donate to the local libraries to make sure that during quarantine all the stuff people had something to read that was worthwhile. And that's awesome.
But all of that is why we're here.
Yeah.
Like really,
all
of that feeds into exactly why we're finally at this point where we can tell you our dreams about the thing. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all the major questions we've popped up. If I've missed one, Brad or Laura or Christy, all our wonderful people help us. Will the poems be included?
I hope so. We'll just have to see.
Hey, the Angel Studios page is back up. Thank you, Christy.
Hey, good.
Christy.
Awesome.
And lots of questions about auditioning. Yes, we will find a way to make that happen. Auditioning is a complicated process, takes a long time. But like we did with the Kickstarter, we did have an opportunity for people to kind of jump in there. I get emails still just regularly. Hey, can I audition to be part of the show? And
my buddy Dave Barnes, the singer-songwriter, when I told him that this was kind of like brewing, he immediately texted and said, please, can I audition? And I was like, absolutely. Dave Barnes is the guy who named Professor Nibblesticks in Van Rona. So, yeah, the auditions will be had somehow.
Another question is, you bring in the same artists. We are hoping to work with a lot of the same artists visually and in other ways, but it's been a number of years. And so, a lot of this is like, hey, so what are you up to now? And we're hoping to bring a whole team together, more to come out again. So,
but we want it to look and feel like the art of the new covers and the short film, that kind of, that's the vibe that we love.
Yeah, and the intention on the covers, we've had some folks ask that question, I know, which is that the covers do look similar to the artwork from the short film, what we want to do in the series, and that was intentional to look similar but not match. That Andrew, and I thought this was great, wanted to make sure that the books could kind of live in their own space and feel like the same.
But not like have the movie cover, for the book. I just can't stand those, so. They needed to be their own thing.
So Nicholas Cole, who we love, did these covers, and they're
amazing. Yeah.
Okay, next thing, and then we're going to show you something. So we know just the importance of telling your story, of marketing. I know marketing can sound weird, but it is telling your story. We wanted to have some friends come alongside that could help us tell our story of what the Wingfeather Saga is. And you know, I'm sure you've all experienced this if you've read the books and tried to tell your friends about it. You know, you might use shorthand like it's like Princess Bride meets Lord of the Rings, right? And oh, okay, that's something. But you've got to find a way to say, what is this thing? Why is it meaningful to your family, and how does that work? So one of the things after Angel Studios came on is Andrew and I were like, man, we really need some folks who can help us with this. And both of us have loved work that the Harmon Brothers agency has done over the years. You may have seen some of their stuff, promotions they made for VidAngels. You've seen some of those very funny things.
So funny.
Very funny. Way back in the day, they did one for Poo-Pourri, the toilet bowl spray.
Also funny.
Purple Mattress, you've seen some of those campaigns, and these others, Squatty Potty as well. They do really funny while giving you information. And so we reached out to them and said, hey, we want to tell you about Wingfeather Saga and see if you'd be willing to help us to tell our story. And they said yes. Yeah. And so we've been working with them, and they've just been wonderful to help us. And they're asking hard questions about, like, now what about this and what about that, about the brand and this kind of thing, and are helping us to make a little something to tell everyone else about Wingfeather Saga and what it is. So that is going to come up very soon. It's not available tonight, but very soon we're going to get to show you that. But tonight we have something we're very excited to show you. This is a little teaser. Now, we're going to show it to you, and then we're going to tell you what you just saw.
Yes.
But we have a little teaser. I think we're ready to show it. Can we pull that up now? Hey guys, we are here live on the set of our promotional video for Wingfeather Saga. We can't wait for you to see this. It feels like we're in Ariar, the land of Wingfeather Saga.
Pretty crazy. So just to be clear, we are not making a live action show.
No.
Yes.
But what we thought was a funny idea, and you'll see this when you see the promo, was of a dad, just a regular guy who is like, man, I wish I could, have a really cool fantasy series to enjoy with my kids. And he's just like dressed like, and then and he's in a fantasy world, and he's like our spokesperson, and he's very funny in this whole fantasy thing. And we cannot wait to show it to you.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's really great. And it just tells our story. It tells us about who we are and what we think is important when we're telling stories like these. Why people find the association of Lord of the Rings and Narnia and Harry Potter and us. Like, what is that? And we feel like we've gotten some cool things. Can't wait to show you. Yeah. So over the next few weeks, you may see some marketing from us. And what we're doing is we're working with this wonderful team to help test some messages out there. We're going to kind of put out some different messages about what Wingfeather Saga is, and so you may see some of these, and that's awesome. And we're kind of testing to see what's the right way to tell people about it, that they go, oh, I get it, right, and it lights up in their mind, and then we get to go for it. So you may see some of those, and that's going to be pretty exciting. And then eventually you get to see that promo. Oh man,
it's really funny.
Yeah,
I can't wait for y'all to see it. Yep. So many things.
Somebody asked here, do you have to be a member of Angel Studios or VidAngel or that kind of thing to be able to participate? No, not at all. No, you can just jump in and kind of raise your hand and jump into it. So that's just fine. Well, that is really kind of all the things we had to offer. I don't think there's any big questions left. We're just so excited.
So excited. So in the next few weeks, you're going to see some things, and we're going to communicate with you guys about what's going on.
For the time being, if people have questions, they can come back and watch this. This will stay on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like and follow us on Wingfeather Saga, Facebook and YouTube. So, of course, Andrew has a lot of wonderful material out in the world, both in the world of music and other things, books that he's written and that sort of thing. But for all the latest on Wingfeather Saga particularly, that's going to be really just, we're going to work those channels. And that includes Instagram. You'll see us on those, really kind of telling what we're up to and that sort of thing. And like I said, you may see some marketing from us as we start to explore that. And then we'll come back to you with a couple more of these little chats and get to tell you what our next things are.
And there are next things.
There are next things.
Yes.
Action figures.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us tonight. I can't tell you what it means to our families to be here. It's like I said earlier, there were some dark moments where we weren't sure, and even now, I know it's our hearts, which is we just kind of palms up with this thing and say, all right, God, what do you have for us? We really want to make something great that families can have a blast with and enjoy and is meaningful. But we're up to you taking us where it should go.
Yeah.
And so tonight is one of those steps where we're like, we're so excited. What do you think?
I think that's a good way to put it. So thank you guys so much for all of your support and your excitement. Even tonight, I'm just kind of gobsmacked by the fact that you guys care about this story. And it was my dream when I was writing it. And over the last 6 years, that Chris has been working on this project. And we've been talking and having all these meetings. It has been thanks to you guys and your enthusiasm, your kindness to us, that we've kind of felt the wind in our sails that we needed to keep going, keep trying to push this ball down the field. And so thank you so much for your involvement, and we can't wait to tell you what's up.
And thank you for your encouragement and your messages. I know sometimes you don't hear all our responses to that, but we get them, and we're just, it is deeply encouraging. We're so thankful too. We've had some wonderful families come along that have partnered with us financially to kind of make sure we could keep making this thing keep going. And that's been a huge, just bolstering of confidence that we're about the right thing. Thank you so much to our live stream team as well. Brad and John and Christy and Laura, thank you so much for your help to pull this all together. And
thanks, Angel Studios.
Thank you, Angel Studios.
Yeah, we're excited
for
to
believing in us,
work with
and
them.
can't wait to work and tell you more about it. So, from all of us here at Northwind Manor, including Jamie,
Good night.
good night, and we'll talk to you again
God
soon.
bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you.